I love D&D, it's a great game. However, damage conditions kinda suck. They limit choice, can make combat incredibly unbalanced, and can be generally unfun. So today, we're going to talk about which ones in particular you should avoid in your games, and a couple recommendations for more fun conditions. First, let's define conditions in D&D to make sure we're all on the same page. Conditions alter creatures' capabilities. Generally these are downsides, however a couple can be advantageous. These effects last until they are countered. There are 14 conditions in Dungeons & Dragons. Blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralysed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, and unconscious. Now my problem with these conditions is how little counterplay there is to them. For example, if you're paralysed, generally the only way out of that condition is if you pass a check at the end of your turn, which, if you failed for it in the first place, you're most likely going to fail for it again. I've played in a game where an enemy cast a charm person on a player character, which meant the character couldn't attack the caster as that breaks the rules of the spell, which meant the player couldn't join in combat anymore. Also, Charm Person isn't a concentration spell, which means regardless of the other party members attacking the caster, the spell wouldn't break for an hour. This meant the caster could focus on everyone else while the charm player just sat there. That sucks. This lack of counterplay for the affected player can leave them being bored in combat, especially if they pass 2 turns in a row. So how can we fix these conditions? I believe the best way to run conditions that negatively affect players is to still allow options and fun roleplay. For example, my favourite core condition is Frightened, which states, a frightened creature has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. While the source of its fear is within line of sight, the creature can't willingly move closer to the source of its fear. This is amazing because it allows players to roleplay a scared character, but also gives the players options. Less likely to hit than cast a support spell. Or maybe look away from what you're scared of and attack the smaller enemies. This is fun because it means you're not doing the same action every single turn and gives combat a great sense of variety. So now I'm going to recommend some really cool alternative damage conditions for you to spice up your combat while still making it fun for your players. Dazed. This is very similar to how Dazed runs in Baldur's Gate 3, but instead you can't use your bonus actions or reactions. At the end of the player's turn, they must make a DC 13 int save to end this condition. This limits choice for turns and means players have to make their one action count. For example, a ranger now can't use Hunter's Mark on their turn, so are they going to attack normally, or are they going to cast a healing spell like Cure Wounds to patch up an injured ally? I generally use this condition to replace paralysis to let my players have choices but still hinder them. Petrified. Now I know this is a normal condition, however here is my change to make it a bit more fun. If your player has been afflicted with petrified, then their feet turn to stone, their movement speed is half and they get a disadvantage to dex saves. Next turn, their legs turn to stone, so they have no movement speed and fail dex saves. Next turn their torso turns to stone. They can't move their arms, so no semantic spells and no attacks that use their arms. Last turn, their heads turn to stone and they get the normal petrify condition. This is way more fun than the regular petrify condition because it allows players time to fight back before fully turning to stone. Also, I always rule that a creature becomes unpetrified when the creature that petrified it dies, which always gives the players a chance to come back even if they fully turn to stone. This allows the other party members to kill the creature that petrified a player to get them back. This can be a really good campaign start or a continuation of a campaign where all the players got petrified, but they come back 100 years later after the Gorgon that petrified them dies. Shaken. This rule states, when you're afflicted, you now go last in the initiative order and get disadvantage on all dexterity saves and dexterity based attacks. This lasts until the end of your turn. This condition is so fun because it interacts with the initiative order, which is incredibly rare. This may seem like a minor effect, but this changes the dynamic of a fight. If your rogue has suddenly been forced to act last, this may allow an enemy to attack first. So how will the rest of the party react to this? This is a great condition to keep players engaged, as the turn order is constantly changing, meaning they have to pay attention to know when it's their go. But make sure you switch up who you target with this condition so you don't just bully one player. Slowed. What this condition does is half a player's movement speed, they get a -2 to their AC, They can use an action or a bonus action on their turn, but not both. At the end of a slowed creature's turn, they can make a DC 13 Wisdom save to end this condition. Now this works very closely to the slow spell, which is one of my favourite spells. This gives players a great choice on what they want to prioritise on their turn. Also, this condition is great for certain types of creatures. If you want the players to fight a giant snail, then the snail can slow them. If they're fighting a chronomancer, then that chronomancer can slow them. This condition can really help enhance the flavour of a fight and also give a really fun element to time-based fights. Taunt. This condition is a great double-edged sword. This condition means the affected creature must target every attack, spell, or item to the creature that afflicted them with taunt until the end of their turn. This is great because the taunting creature will probably take a lot of damage, but it also stops the player from healing or aiding their allies. You can put this on any enemy, but my favourite is to use it on arrogant gladiator types of enemies because I love the mental image of them literally taunting the players. Also, it is a great condition to give to a player if you give them an amulet of taunting, because then they get to save their allies by taking all the damage, but they take a lot of damage. Bleeding. This is an incredibly fun condition. Bleeding creatures must make a Constitution save versus DC 13 at the ends of their turns or lose 1d6 HP. Beating a DC of 18 ends this condition, or the condition ends if they heal. This is a great condition because it leads to a major choice. Will you tank the damage and attack, or are you going to heal to end this condition and possibly lose an attack? I've played in campaigns where this condition stacks, leading to some of the most intense combat I've had in D&D. So if you think this damage is a little bit too low, make this condition stack, because at the end of the player's turn, they may be taking up to 4d6 damage, which is a lot. So yeah, that has been my video on conditions in D&D. If you have any suggestions or any conditions you like, please leave them in the comments below. But yeah, also please subscribe, I'm trying to build this channel. So yeah, every subscription helps. So I hope you enjoyed the video, see ya, and enjoy the rest of your day.